Well, obviously, we're going to have some wonderful interviews that answer some pressing questions. But talk about the room. The room is awesome,
It is.
Julian. If I know you're going to come, but there are life-size portraits of Sir Sidney in various phases of his life. I don't know who did the decor. The black and white draping is awesome. I think it's fitting for such a phenomenal tribute to a dynamic man.
A man who inspired Denzel Washington, who inspired Oprah, who inspired Viola, who inspired so many people of the diaspora.
The list goes on and on. And of course, he had an impact to those who loved him the most, his family.
And you have a special interview with one of his daughters.
Yes, I had an opportunity to visit Cat Island recently, and I spoke to Pamela. She was so powerful in her speech about her father, their relationship, information, or the ways in which she remembered advice that he shared with her. So it was awesome.
And 5 daughters, that makes him the ultimate what?
Girl dad.
but
so we're going to take a look at that piece right now, so tune in.
My father was a good man. I mean, just principally, he was a really good man. And he wanted the best for everyone, particularly for the Bahamian people. He really wanted education for Bahamian people more than anything in the world. He didn't want jobs, because once you have an education, you create your own opportunities. But if you don't have the education, then you're going to go along with whatever anybody can hand you. And because he knows he didn't get an education in the Bahamas, what the difference is if he had gotten one. So he was always fighting for better education in the Bahamas, a world-class education, not a colonialist education. It was very important to him because these were his roots. He refused to play anything that was going to be negative, anything that put a negative light on his people, so he carried himself with that kind of integrity. When he got there and he saw and he experienced racism, he experienced disenfranchisement. He realized that what he had in him, they couldn't take away, no matter what they said. He was not interested in being awarded. The Oscar was a very big deal because no other African-American actor had ever gotten that kind of award. In fact, it was the last person to get an Academy Award of color was Hattie McDaniel for Gone with the Wind in 1932. So it was a big deal for him to have accomplished that or to have won. Because he knows what it meant to a whole lot of people. He didn't go around telling you, well, I did this and I did. He was not that kind of person. Whatever he did in private. He did anonymously. It wasn't important that it was recognized. It was important that it was effective. My father also, he gave me a backbone. He told me that I was the prize, and that no one should take advantage of me, and I shouldn't allow it, and that I had a good brain, and that I should use it. I'm glad the government is doing something to recognize him. The message I think that he would give to every human being on the planet is that you're brilliant. God made you brilliant. Be the brilliant self that you are known to, that you know yourself to be. Know that, like he told me, that you're the prize, you know, and protect that. Love yourself. Be good to yourself. But listen and learn. You are never too old to learn. As long as you're learning, you're staying young and you're staying vital.
Well, Jimenita, a really interesting piece there. What struck you most when you were doing that interview?
It's hard to say, but one of the things that the advice that he shared to her was he reminded her that you are the prize. And I asked her, talk to us about something that he would have said to you that would have stuck with you throughout the course of your life. And he said, you're brilliant. And I took that as something that I would always remember, because sometimes everybody has that moment where you may not be feeling as sure of yourself. But if you think about it, we are all brilliant. We are all gifted in our own ways. And she reminded us that he loved the Bahamas so much. He put premium on education. She stressed that he was just a good man. Even though he was a father, overall, his manners, his decorum, He was a good man.
Did you ever have a chance to meet him?
Unfortunately, I didn't. Only saw him on the big screen.
I did once when one of my first assignments in ZNS, actually, I got to meet him, and regrettably, my cameraman was late. So here I am, so Sydney's there, I'm here, and I'm twiddling my thumbs, and I said, so Sydney, you know, I'm really sorry about this, but I'm new to TV. And he said, don't worry about it, so am I. And when I thought about it, he's never done TV, so that's what he meant.
Okay.
But he had a way of making you feel calm.
Comfortable.
I think that was
Okay.
wonderful. Yeah.
So you didn't get raked over the coals?
Not at all. Not at all. We had a good interview, actually. Good. We're going to take a break right now, but we have so much more to offer you when we come back to this wonderful celebration of Sir Sidney Poitier's life.
Only one network.
This used to be the waiting terminal for the airport. It's now gone.
We have the most experienced team covering hurricane.
But when Hurricane Irma makes landfall here in New Providence in a few hours,
We cover the entire Bahamas before, during, and after the storm. One network covers every island rocket. We are the best because we have the best. For hurricane coverage, there's only one network, the ZNS Network.
Welcome back. Well, the main show begins at 7 o'clock, but look what's happening in the room here. People are starting to come in.
Guests are arriving. I think they're excited as we are. So much activity is in the foyer as well. Artisans are stationed out there with their goods, so people have an opportunity. If they didn't get any Father's Day shopping in, they could pick up something. But you also can take some photos. There is this life-size Sir Sidney lit statue out in the front.
Oh wow, I didn't
Well,
see that.
the words Sir Sidney. So you can take a photo, or you can take a photo on the board outside and feel like a celebrity. This is a momentous occasion, after all.
Now, what I did see is some members of his family, his nieces, whom I know, and other family members who are all here to take part in this celebration.
Well, it's a fitting one, and I hope that they enjoy every moment of it.
Great. But if you're a Bahamian of a certain age, you obviously appreciate automatically the cultural and social significance of Sidney Poitier to the world. In the 1950s and 60s, there really was nothing even approaching a true black movie star. Roles were generally caricatures or stereotypes that pushed most of the era's really good black actors to Broadway instead of film. Sidney Poitier changed all of that, while at the same time lending his celebrity to the civil rights cause. What Sir Sidney did then would be the same as if Michael B. Jordan or Chadwick Boseman were taking the stand and were one person joining the Black Lives Movement. Well, if you didn't really know what Sir Sidney did for the Bahamas, you'll find out a little bit more in this piece from Opal Roach.
What did Sidney Poitier do for the Bahamas? That was the question that echoed repeatedly when, in 2012, the government of the Bahamas bestowed the honor of naming the bridge to Paradise Island the Sidney Poitier Bridge. It's hard to quantify the extent of Sidney Poitier's contributions to the Bahamas, America, or humanity in his 94 years of life. The son of tomato farmers who grew up on Cat Island, despite being born 3 months premature, has defied unimaginable odds to become one of the world's greatest human beings, and certainly one of the Bahamas' most celebrated and beloved sons. Due to his unexpected early arrival during a trip to sell tomatoes in Miami, Sidney was not expected to live beyond a few days. His father prepared to bury the tiny child, who would become a giant in a small casket the size of a shoebox. Little did he know that his Sidney would become a figure that would loom large not only in the world of the dramatic arts, but also as a social, cultural, and political icon during the fight for equality for blacks, not only in America, but also in the land he truly called home, the Bahamas. Sidney's career started off rocky. Barely able to read and hardly familiar with acting, he would become one of the greatest alumnus of the famed American Negro Theater in New York. There, he would meet and befriend his longtime confidant and collaborator, Harry Belafonte, and the two would blaze a trail that saw their Hollywood celebrity become the beacon of hope for oppressed blacks in America and elsewhere. Sidney's humble Cat Island upbringing and the strong, grounded foundation he received from his parents prepared him for the world that was to come. How else to describe the gritty determination for a then 15-year-old to declare to racist police officers in Jim Crow Miami that being Reginald Poitier's son, he would not accept the racial slur thrown at him on that day. Sidney moved to New York, and on his own at 15 years old, he found his way to the big city, working menial jobs until one day the word actor caught his eye. Determined not to let his thick Bahamian accent or his fourth-grade reading skills keep him back, he accepted the kindness of a stranger who helped him improve his reading skills. 6 months after being tossed from an audition, Sidney went back and was determined to work his way through the training that would set him up for the life ahead. From the outset, he used the remainder of his lineage to guide his choice of roles. As Reginald Poitier's son, he would never portray a character lacking in morality and would always find a role that would add to the dignity of the black man. Even then, Sidney knew that every choice had implications well beyond his immediate orbit. Now, his first real break came while playing the lead in the first Broadway play directed by a black man. Not long after, he would get a role in Blackboard Jungle, and then his breakout performance as the lead in No Way Out in 1959. While blacks in his home country were not permitted to enter movie houses due to the racial order of the day, Sidney became the main attraction on screens everywhere but his homeland. That same year, he joined with his beloved friend Harry Belafonte and fellow icon Jackie Robinson and launched the African American Students Foundation. This organization was responsible for funding scholarships of 770 students from the African continent to attend college in the United States from 1959 to 1963. One of those students, a tall, dark man from Kenya, would go on to father another icon who would bear his name, Barack Obama, the 44th president of the United States. He would later win the Best Actor Oscar in 1964 for his performance in Lilies of the Field and inspire blacks the world over with his grace, charm, and dignity in craft and his life.
Was Mr. Colbert ever in this greenhouse, say last night about midnight?
This slap was heard all around the world, not only for the explosive drama of the scene, but also for the symbolism it represented for blacks in America and here in the Bahamas. So Sidney personified the genuine concern for what he called the family of man and used his immense celebrity to push for a better, more just world, regardless of the cost. He leveraged the world's adoration for his talent to give a platform for issues of equality and justice while using his influence to champion causes that mattered to oppressed people in America and the Bahamas. What Sir Sidney did for the Bahamas has to start with what he did for the world. and what his example continues to do. He was honorable. He did not allow himself to be defied by anyone other than himself. He represented himself and his lineage at all times to the best of his ability, and he gave and gave and gave. He showed that the pursuit of knowledge was never ending, and that boundaries were meant to be broken, and that anything was possible. Sir Sidney gave this nation the brightest star at its darkest hour, and showed that we and the world could be better once we choose to be.
They call me Mr. Tibbs. Jiminita, I don't know what you get from that, but to me, you can do anything you want to do once you make up your mind to do it.
And once you believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
He ensured that he educated himself and elevated himself to be respected.
Absolutely. Now, some special performances coming up tonight, right?
Yeah, we're going to hear from persons like Novi Pierre, Osano Neely, Nehemiah Hill, some exceptional Bahamian talents.
With some true acting skills on par, too, right?
Of course. But stay with us. There's so much more to come.
This is where it happens. Those moments that impact our lives. Giving you the information that you need this hurricane season. Wherever there is news, we're there.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bonami.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rajesh Pahawa.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jazreel Thompson.
Infectious diseases physician.
I'm radiologist at Doctors Hospital.
An anesthesiologist here at Doctors Hospital.
And I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
I'm fully vaccinated against COVID.
I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
Well, the musical director for tonight's performance is Fred Ferguson, and Jiminita Swain is standing by with him now. Jiminita?
Well, good evening, Fred. Talk to us about what persons can expect from the musical performances tonight.
It's going to be exciting. Truth is, it's still a memorial, right? But it's a cultural memorial. So now that means we're going to be doing songs that are cultural in design, but suiting a script that talks about the life of Sir Sidney. So it's going to be dancing. It's not going to be a funeral thing. So it's going to be happy and music that we all grew up with, but that connects his life from his birth through his civil rights years and onto his death.
Was it difficult making the selections to ensure that it was respectful and, I guess, solemn to a degree?
Yeah, well, like I said, I was kind of like trying to balance it. You know, it's hard to do a memorial and keep it balanced. But yeah, we were able to pull it out, and I think people are going to be dancing in the seats and singing along with us, but still understanding the meaning of what we're trying to do in his honor.
So persons still have an opportunity to come on down if they want to see, or they just going to have to watch it from there.
Listen, I gave you this time. I got 9 minutes, 7 o'clock p.m. We're starting promptly. So if you're on the way, come on. If not, watch it here live on ZNS.
Well, thanks so much, Fred. There you have it. They're ready with the music, but back to you for now, Julian.
Well, thank you. And tonight's performance is brought to you by the government of the Bahamas. Playing a key role in that is another Fred, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Welcome to our broadcast.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here with you.
Tell us how this whole thing came to be.
Well, we felt that there ought to be some public memorial for a man who towered over us in the cultural imagination and served the country at so many levels and was a very successful Bahamian. And, you know, I thought when I saw, this is now in retrospect, when I saw Clay Thompson with the Bahamian flag, I use this as the example of why we do what we do. We want to show the example that you can start from humble beginnings as a Bahamian and move up to the highest heights, and people take their example from what they see others do. And the life of Sidney Poitier is simply exceptional, remarkable, and we want to highlight that, pay tribute to him, and thank him and his family for the contribution he made to the country.
And you knew him personally. What special memory do you have of him on a personal level?
Well, I have so many stories, but I'll just tell this one. It was Independence Day, 1973, and I think he was about the last person to arrive on the scene. I thought, this was the great star making his grand entrance. So he was starting from the western end of the Esplanade and working his way around the crowd. And as he walked to the stage, people were clapping and clapping and clapping. And I said, the great star making his grand entrance. Well, I later found out when I was talking to him, he said, the truth was he was lost because nobody told him where to go, So, but we had lots of stories like that. But just a great man. And I, traveled all over the world with him. He took me almost everywhere with him. And so I'll miss him very much.
And of course, he served well as ambassador to Japan and UNESCO.
Ambassador to Japan and UNESCO, and so many of our officers got an opportunity to work with him. I made sure, certainly, the detail that traveled with me, that they got to know him, just like people like Sir Albert Miller and all of those, because I think people ought to take a chapter from their lives and pattern it after the lives of these great men, these great Bahamians who've actually constructed and built our country.
What do you think he'd like to see for the Bahamian people as we move forward?
Well, I think he would want support of students, kids, to be able to get the training and access to fora around the world. He wanted a performing arts center here, so hopefully that's in the cards. Well, I know Prime Minister Christie had announced it. This Prime Minister Davis, intends to follow up on it, particularly since he's got the roots in Cat Island. So I expect that to go forward.
Good. Looking forward to tonight's performance?
I am very much. It was the dress rehearsal was a very emotional time for me, and I guess that's the way it is.
Great. Well, listen, thank you so much for being with us, Minister Fred Mitchell. And stay with us because the performance will be coming to you soon. We'll take a break and be back right after this.
Network.
This used to be the waiting terminal for the airport. It's now gone.
We have the most experienced team covering hurricane.
But when Hurricane Irma makes landfall here in New Providence in a few hours,
we cover the entire Bahamas before, during, and after the storm. One network covers every island rocking. We are the best because we have the best. For hurricane coverage, there's only one network, the Saturdays Network.
By giving unconditionally, not expecting anything in return, I thought was a wonderful way of showing this love, and I believe that it is love that truly draws people, and so I thought we could cover a lot more people by feeding. Volunteers, they have truly been sold.
My passion is to help, and I thank God for what I can do through the help of Bahamas Feeding Network.
Five years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. I was devastated. I was afraid of losing my sight or losing my legs. I was scared. But then I visited my doctor, and I control my diabetes by taking my blood sugar test every morning with a simple prick of the finger. I exercise for half an hour each day, mostly in the evenings. I make sure to eat a balanced meal, including fruits and vegetables, limiting processed foods like chips and fast food like French fries. I keep up with my checkup appointments with my doctor every 3 to 6 months. Don't let your diabetes control your life. Know your numbers. Regain control.
This message is brought to you by PAHO WHO, Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Islands, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and the Healthy Bahamas Coalition.
Well, it's 3 minutes to showtime. Just want to let you know who's behind tonight's performances. The director of events is Philip Burrows, musical director Fred Ferguson, whom you interviewed not too long ago, and the stage manager is Ronald Sims. And of course, it's just going to be fantastic.
They said it's going to be a tight show. He was like, chop, chop, 7 o'clock. We're going to be starting on time. But a number of special guests arriving so far. We saw Zane Lightbourne, the Honorable Pia Glover-Rule is here as well, and a few other familiar faces, Julian.
Well, Cedric Scott, who actually is a good friend of Sir Sidney and an actor in his own right. There's an old film called The Wedding, in which he starred with Carol Burnett, and he was extremely good in it. It was a really funny film. If
Oh,
you
we
get to
know
see it.
Carol Burnett is
The
fun,
Wedding.
too.
It was awesome. And coming in soon, the High Commissioner to CARICOM, Her Excellency Leslie Bryce, who is important in the coordination of all of these cultural events, and the Governor General, His Excellency Cornelius Smith, is also coming in, along with Chief Justice Brian Marie. So all of the dignitaries coming out in full form for this event tonight.
For a very special event.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I'm excited to see how it's all going to come together. Like Fred said, they had a difficult task in terms of selecting the music. Of course, it's a memorial, but you want people to enjoy it and reflect on his life, not just be sad, but, you know, appreciate it.
And more importantly, he says it's going to start on time.
Yes.
Good.
So that's why I think
that means
everyone
we
is
have
trying
about
to-
1 minute
trying to
before we
get
go
to
to
this.
the national anthem.
Yes.
Which will
yes.
start everything for tonight.
Mhm.
Anything in particular you're looking for? There's a Deputy Prime Minister coming in right now, Chester Cooper. And
You see
of
the
course,
Minister of
the
National
Prime Minister
Security
will be
is
here
already here seated as well, the Minister of Works, Mr. Alfred Sayers. So a number of persons are ready in their seats, so to ensure that we do start on time. But I think I'm just here for all of the cultural aspects. I love when we as a country are able to showcase who we are musically, whether it's spoken or...
What's your favorite? What's your favorite film from Sir Sidney?
To Serve with Love.
Somehow I figured you would say that. To me, it's In the Heat of the Night, you know? And, of course, more dignitaries coming in right there on your screen. Well, we have a shot right now of the Governor General, who is chatting quite casually, and I'm sure he's excited to see what goes on tonight, too, because he, I'm sure, like every young Bahamian man of that time, must have been inspired by Sir Sidney.
He was an inspiration to so many, and we saw the clip from the movie earlier. And such a time where you had so much racial injustices. To see a black man slap a white man back, I mean, that reverberated.
I tell you. Yes, but we're just waiting for this to start right now. The Governor General is waiting to be escorted to his seat. And after that, I guess we will hear the National Anthem of the Bahamas, March on Bahamaland. But you know, the interesting thing about this is how much talent there is in the Bahamas. Now, Sir Sidney, of course, came full bloom. You know, he really put the Bahamas on the map as far as Bahamian actors is concerned. But, you know, there were so many other Bahamian actors, too. I don't know if you ever heard about Stephen Fetchit.
I have not.
All right, well, he's one of the earliest actors, and his mother was Bahamian. Bert Williams, the first film. Bahamian. Here comes the Governor General right now. And now we will hear the national anthem, and the program begins. The Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, Honorable Obie Wilshcombe, all here in attendance.
This means standing for the national anthem of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, performed by our now Bahamian vocalist, Mr. Nehemiah Hill, and the name standing for the invocation by Captain Sebastian Campbell.
Lift up your head to the rising sun, Barberland. March on to glory, your bright banners waving high. See how the world marks the manner of your bearing. Pledge to excel through love and unity, pressing onward, march together to a common loftier goal. Steady sunward, though the weather hides the wide and treacherous shore. Lift up your head to the rising sun, Barberland, till the road you trod leads unto your God. March on,
So, Julian, a beautiful rendition there of the national anthem by Nehemiah Hill.
Yes, someone who actually also put the Bahamas on the world stage as part of Bahamen. He's one of the original ones. And he's now in gospel music, but still making his mark the world around.
And making his presence felt. But I think we're going to hear now from the Honorable Leslie Miller Bryce. She is, of course, one of the organizers behind the event, along with Minister Mitchell. So she is going to be planning a lot of these cultural events coming up. But, well, for now, we have Jagozi. So we're going to have a prayer.
Mercies and blessings. We thank you for the life that you've allowed Sidney Poitier to lead, the example that he's been for all of us, black people, white people, of every nation he's been able to impact. And for this, dear Lord, we are grateful to the son of the soil for all that he's been able to do. And tonight, as we celebrate him, dear Lord, we ask for your blessing on all that happens here tonight. And I pray that we will leave here fulfilled, encouraged, and motivated to do more, be better, and to aim higher. Our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please be seated. Please welcome Her Excellency Leslie Miller Bryce, High Commissioner to CARICOM.
Your Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Cornelius Smith, Governor General of the Bahamas,
Chief Justice Sir Brian Murray and Lady Murray, the Honorable I. Chester Cooper, Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Fred Mitchell, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, Leader of the Opposition, President of the Senate, former Prime Ministers, Honorable Senators, Honorable Members of Parliament, Secretary to the Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Assistant Commissioner of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Mr. Clayton Fernandez, Commodore Raymond King, Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, family of our hero, the late Sir Sidney Poitier, senior government officials, colleagues, members of the clergy, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. For me, the greatest of the great trees has fallen, Sidney Poitier. These poignant words posted in a tweet by Oprah Winfrey rang true for so many when word of Sir Sidney's passing was released on January 6th of this year. It seemed as if the world paused, as though all of life's manic rush from obligation to event to occasion stopped for just a brief moment and allowed us to reflect on all we had lost with the passing of one of this brightest of Hollywood's superstars. So many men and women of stature and renown spoke to Sir Sidney's talent, to his grace and presence on the screen. Great and powerful men and women spoke to his trailblazing career, his outstanding accomplishments, his Oscar, and his commitment to the advancement of other people of color in the arts. Somber analysis was made of his activism and commitment to human rights, his willingness to put his professional reputation and future on the line, to open doors to equality in areas that had nothing to do with the silver screen. He was a committed warrior for social justice and compassion, an eloquent champion for racial equality, economic opportunity, and political agency for people of color. He raised his voice and stood tall in the fight for civil rights, and he risked his stature and reputation to support the independent movements that brought about the end of colonial imperialism. In the weeks and months since his passing, oceans of ink and forests of parchment have been used to scribe his triumphs and laud his character. Some of our best-known cultural, entertainment, and political leaders have sung his praises. And we are here, ladies and gentlemen, for a great deal more of the same. Sir Sidney Poitier, the son of Cat Island tomato farmers, who came to be the friend and confidant of royals and presidents, has left a legacy that merits our praise and requires our emulation. The people of the Bahamas have always cherished our bond with Hollywood's leading man. His every success lifted our spirit. His every sacrifice ennobled our struggles. It is because of that special bond that we could count it such a privilege to extend a special welcome to Sir Sidney's lovely daughters, Miss Beverly, Miss Pamela, and Miss Sherry, who are here with us this evening, and to Lady Joanna, the beautiful wife of Sir Sidney, his daughters, Anika and Sydney. We send our love and greetings to you all the way from the Bahamas. Thank you for joining us as we pay tribute to a Bahamian legend. We hope you enjoy our celebration to Sir Sidney. Ladies and gentlemen, we are only getting started. So I invite you to make yourselves comfortable. I invite you to reminisce. I invite you to celebrate. I invite you to help us honor and pay tribute to the life and legacy of one of our great Bahamian icons, Sir Sidney Poitier, with love. Thank you, and once again, welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I won't be long, I think about an hour and a half before the next speaker. Tonight we pay tribute to an honored Bahamian son who made all of us proud as he trailblazed the theater and the movie screens, highlighting the fact that he was a most gifted son, not just of the Bahamas, but globally. Sir Sidney's gifts and his obvious pride in his Bahamian heritage brought tremendous recognition to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And over time, he emerged as one of the most outstanding ambassadors and cultural icons of our country. This Bahamian son shattered the glass ceiling, which relegated black actors to minor and often demeaning roles. Sir Sidney Poitier shook up the American film industry, and in 1958, he made history by becoming the first black man to be nominated for an Academy Award, receiving the Best Actor nomination for the leading role in The Defiant Ones. God would have it that 5 years later, he forever changed the course of history when he became the first black man to win an Academy Award for acting, and of course, it is in the amazing leading role for the film Lilies of the Field. And by 1967, Sir Sidney became the top box office draw among all actors, black and white, starring in 3 wildly popular movies, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, To Sir with Love, and In the Heat of the Night. He was uncompromising as he pursued a personal and public life that would honor his upbringing and the invaluable legacy of his Cat Island parents and his roots. He was committed to the notion that one does not live except you live in a way that you articulate who you are and where you came from. With this in mind, he was very deliberate in the roles that he determined he would play. It was important that they were positive, that they were useful, and that they were lasting when you looked at the human condition. Sir Sidney's career positively impacted civil rights. And of course, he became an icon of the civil rights movement, especially with his debut role in the 1950s movie, No Way Out, in which he played a black doctor opposite a racist character played by his friend Richard Widmark. And later on in the movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, with renowned American actress Katharine Hepburn, which also confronted race issues. One of the important things about him, I believe, is captured in Lerone Bennett's comments, that there are some who have the ability to erase historical biases without introducing new biases. The hard-hitting No Way Out sent shockwaves through the Bahamian social and political establishment when the political directorate of that day refused to allow this movie to be shown. This led to the formation of the Citizens Committee by a number of prominent Bahamians, which not only agitated for the movie to be shown, but they confronted larger political issues. And of course, the political directorate of that day relented. The International Civil Rights Walk of Fame, an entity promulgated by the U.S. government through the National Park Service, declares that Sir Sidney's pioneering career has had a tremendous impact on the American culture. Biographer Iram Goddison, the family professor of history at the University of Memphis, argued in his eulogy of Sir Sidney that this Bahamian reflected the civil rights movement on the screen. Dr. Martin Luther King also paid tribute to this incredible Bahamian. He told his audience of 2,000 delegates that Sir Sidney was a great friend of humanity. Panel Joseph, at the Barbara Jordan's chair in Ethics and Political Values and the founding director of the Center of Study for Race and Democracy at the LBJ School of Public Affairs, also commented on the incredible contribution he made. He noted that Sir Sidney was considered a staunch raceman, the moniker bestowed upon stalwart supporters of racial progress and social justice. So in many ways, he was seen beyond his artistic expressions. As a creative myself, he was a constant source of inspiration for me and thousands of Bahamian artists and artisans. Like former U.S. President Barack Obama indicated when he presented Sir Sidney with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, I believe that Sir Sidney has made all of us a little better. On behalf of Her Majesty's loyal opposition, the Free National Movement, my wife and family, and on my own behalf, I once again, as we did before, extend condolences to his family and to all of the persons who have grown to love him internationally. His life will always be an inspiration to all of us. We will remember this Bahamian son and are grateful for his overall contributions. And while it is true that we have dedicated a bridge in his honor, it would be a wonderful, lasting tribute for the government to give consideration to naming the School of Performing Arts at the University of the Bahamas in his honor, and to take one of the adjacent streets and name also in his honor. God bless you, and God bless the incredible work of Sir Sidney Poitier.
And now, please welcome the Honorable Frederick Mitchell, MP, Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Public Service.
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Deputy Prime Minister, this is a very personal matter for me tonight, and forgive me if I dwell on the personal rather than the national, but I must say, having gone through the dress rehearsal last night, and you saw the little hitch at the start there, there's a line in The Lion in Winter where the king moves the hair strand to the side of his lady's head and says, let's have one strand askew, because nothing in life is perfect. In 2007, I lost office, political office, with my first stint as Minister of Foreign Affairs. From 2002 to 2007, I had the privilege of working with Ambassador Sidney Poitier. He was our ambassador to Japan and ambassador to UNESCO. He was appointed by the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie. It was a fascinating event for me, traveling around the world with this iconic figure. He referred to me as his boss. Who would have thunk it? However, after losing office, I figured, well, that's the end of that, since in this world, most relationships are transactional. And then I received this call at Christmas 2007 from Ambassador Poitier informing me that he wanted to see me. So I asked him if he was sure it was me he wanted to see. And he said, of course, and asked whether I could come to Beverly Hills to see him. I was surprised and curious, but I agreed to go to California in January of 2008. Thus began, in my view, a storied relationship which resulted in me being in California sometimes 4 times a year, continuously up to the year before the COVID pandemic, and each time to visit his home. During that first visit in 2008, Ambassador Poitier was still driving, and he took me everywhere with him. I mean, this is incredible. To lunch, dinner, his accountant, his lawyer, his friends. He spoke to me about his parents, his attachment to Nassau, and his beloved women, as he called them, meaning Joanna, Juanita, and his daughters. I've had the privilege of interacting with his family, and in particular his wife, Joanna, whom I salute for her tender, loving care for this great man. I recall an event then, while on an official visit to Los Angeles. We were coming down an elevator. We'd just seen the mayor of Los Angeles, and it stopped just before the ground floor. So this man came in, and he started exclaiming, "Oh my God, it's Sidney Poitier. I can't believe it. This is my lucky day. I can't believe it. And I don't even have a piece of paper for him to sign his name." his autograph. I've seen all your films, he says, To Serve with Love, In the Heat of the Night, and he would not stop. He followed us when we got to the ground floor, walked with us, and right outside to the car, and saw the ambassador to the car, and the door then closed, and the car drove away. The man then turned around and grabbed me by the shoulders and said, "Don't worry, one day you'll be famous too." There was a judge in the Chancery Court of Delaware who heard the rags to riches story of Ambassador Poitier. He was testifying in a dispute over the Disney company. On hearing the story, the judge said that the story was a remarkable one. And I think the best way to describe it is that. Joanna and his beloved wife and I agreed when we were speaking a couple of weeks ago that you could not make this story up. It was so remarkable. And if you read The Measure of a Man, you would know that he starts the book off by saying, I'm lying in bed, there are 100 channels on TV, I'm flipping through the channels, and I can't find anything that I want to see. And he throws down the remote, and then he catches himself and says, how ungrateful I am. Because when I started out, he recalled being 10 years old, sitting on the lap of his sister Teddy, in a rocking chair in Cat Island, and the coconut barks were burning to get the mosquitoes to scat. And he said that was what we did for entertainment, telling stories to put me to sleep at night in Cat Island. And here I am complaining about nothing on 100 channels. Remarkable journey. I'm pleased to have known him, and he's now joined the cosmos, as he would describe it. We talked about this all the time. He leaves behind our love and affection for a life well lived. A great Bahamian son now belongs to the ages. I trust that these memorials on this weekend are a fitting tribute to his life. In particular, I wish to thank the Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, and the Cabinet, Her Excellency Leslie Miller Bryce, the Ambassador to CARICOM, who chaired this event, and the producer, Fred Ferguson, and his team. But thank you all for coming. We praise and send on his way a great Bahamian. God bless him, and God bless our Commonwealth.
And now please welcome Ms. Beverly Poitier, accompanied by Sisters Palm and Sherry Poitier, who will bring remarks on behalf of the Poitier family.
Good evening. I want to say thank you to everyone here. I want to say thank you to Nassau, to the Bahamas. I also want to bring greetings from Joanna, Lady Joanna Poitier, my mother Juanita Poitier, my sister Danica in Sydney. They were not able to come tonight. We're very, very proud and very grateful that the Bahamas has seen fit to honor our father in this way. For us, it's a very personal time. It's a very heartfelt time, but to see what you guys have done is absolutely amazing. Nassau has always been home for us. It's the one place in the world that when I come, I feel like I'm home. There are people here who know me and who come and they hug me, and it's terrific. I think that we owe a big thank you and gratitude to Reginald and Evelyn Poitier. They instilled in him, and therefore instilled in us, a love of the truth, a love of fairness, graciousness, and dignity. And I think that that's the characteristics of Bahamians. Bahamians, to my thinking, are outspoken. They fight for what they believe in. And there are no apologies for that, but they have the biggest hearts. And anytime that you talk to them, my father was always welcoming. He was always gracious, no matter who it was that came and approached him. And he would always say, it's because of these people that we're here, that I'm here. So you owe them your due respect. I want to say thank you again. It's been a great evening, and it's just starting. My heart is full. Thank you very much.
And now the Honorable I. Chester Cooper, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Tourism, Aviation, Trade and Investment.
Your Excellency, Governor General, Chief Justice Brian Maury, Cabinet and parliamentary colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Poitier family, good evening to everyone. Firstly, let me say how happy I am to offer these brief remarks on behalf of Prime Minister Davis, who is on his way to Rwanda to participate in the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. He sends his regrets, his love, and his highest regards. I extend thanks to all who have come together, and I want to say a special thank you to the Poitier family for having allowed us to celebrate Sir Sydney in this way. And I ask you please to give them a round of applause. I extend thanks to all who've come together, government, the cultural community, to make this most fitting celebration and tribute a reality. The gesture is a move in the right direction as we work together to find ways to more significantly recognize the achievements of our most deserving sons and daughters of the Bahamian soil and to honor their legacies. I thank the cultural community for their perseverance in demonstrating that the Orange economy has the potential to become a major pillar of our national economy if we have the will to identify and pursue the right synergies and linkages, and if we follow the right examples as laid out for us by Sir Sydney himself. As the Minister of Tourism, I look forward to that constructive engagement with the cultural community as we continue to expand this sector. Tonight, however, is Sir Sydney's night. So on behalf of the government and the people of the Bahamas, it is my pleasure to celebrate, memorialize, and honor the work, life, and legacy of Sir Sydney Poitier, a Bahamian cultural icon. If souls were stars in the sky, Sir Sydney's would be one of the brightest. He was an award-winning actor, director, producer, entrepreneur, author, civil rights activist, diplomat, father, husband, grandfather, and great-grandfather. Most of all, a celebrated Bahamian. Sir Sydney was a proud descendant of Cat Island, coincidentally the home of our Prime Minister, and carried the Bahamas with him wherever he went in the world. He embodied the Bahamian story, one of endless possibilities through faith, self-confidence, industry, and hard work. I will not belabor all of Sir Sydney's numerous and well-documented accolades and his many achievements, but I note that we all beamed with national pride at that watershed event in 1964, a moment in history when the world stood up and took notice. Sir Sydney became the first black man and Bahamian to win both the Global Golden Globe and the Academy Awards for Best Actor for Lilies of the Field. Sir Sidney projected Bahamian exceptionalism in grand style on the international stage, not only on that night, but throughout his storied career. His uncompromising and indomitable Bahamian spirit demanded dignity and equality, and in so doing, he spoke powerfully to our humanity. It was because of this spirit and his exacting standards that Sir Sidney gained a reputation in Hollywood for being difficult to work with. But he stood his ground and he persevered. We thank him for his standards and this spirit and commend the powerful social commentary that defined the vast body of his cinematic work. His work proved the power of art to reshape and influence human relations and transform our social infrastructure for the betterment of mankind. Sir Sidney demonstrated the courage of his conviction to be the change he wanted for himself and the world he lived, and for that uncommon courage, we are grateful. We thank him for his civil rights activism, political activism, his many acts of philanthropy, and his national service through diplomacy. As Sir Sidney speaks to us tonight, through the Bahamian talent represented here that we all look forward to, let us be ever mindful of his mantra to work hard, study, and be excellent. We note that when asked by Prime Minister Davis what message he had for the Bahamian people, Sir Sidney simply and practically said, but with sage advice, wherever they go, whatever they do, they must remember that they come from one of the greatest countries in the world. Well said, Sir Sidney. So on behalf of my wife, Cecilia, on behalf of Prime Minister Davis and Mrs. Davis, my cabinet and parliamentary colleagues, and the government and the people of the Bahamas, I extend heartfelt condolences and thanks to Sir Sidney's widow, Lady Joanna, his 6 children, 8 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, and his extended family in the entertainment industry. May he rest in peace as we celebrate his life and his legacy.
And now, please enjoy a cultural homage to the late Sir Sidney Poitier.
Boy, you can't mash no roads.
What you talking about? I can't mash roads. I was mashing roads since I was a child.
But buddy, I know who learned you, but they ain't learn you right. Now, my uncle, he teach me, and he's a true Bahamian. And he hailed from the island of the first landfall of Christopher Columbus.
Yeah. My whole family come from the island of the first landfall of Christopher Columbus.
What? You from San Salvador?
No, Cat Island.
You must be related to Aris Monk then.
No. Sylvia Larimore Crawford, that's Miami.
Well, I know none of them. Besides, you know, Bahamian always trying to clean people.
Yeah, because we could.
Name some.
Dover, man.
No, brother. He from Exuma.
No, sir. McFarlane Mackey, not McCabe. Mackey. He born in T-Bay, Cat Island. The legend of Sammy Swain was set in Cat Island, and you can't forget about Brave.
Brave?
The Prime Minister.
Now you see? That's the problem with the Bahamians. You're not too familiar. Y'all all around the place calling Hubert. Perry. The next Hubert you're calling Hubert. And now Brave. He is the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, QC.
Yeah, well, I's Dion Johnson, SAC.
SAC?
Yeah, you say talk about where the man going to school, right? So I might as well talk about mine. Go Big Red Machine. You want me to sing the songs for you?
Listen, fool. When I talk about QC, I ain't talking about no school, you know. I'm talking about Queen's Counsel. That's the highest lawyer you could be. And he come from the most successful law firm in the history of the Bahamas.
Higgs and Johnson?
No.
McKinney, Bancroft, and Hughes?
No.
Graham Thompson?
Brother. Christie, Ingram, and Co. That firm produced 3 prime ministers, you know.
Wait a minute. I know Christie.
Right.
And I know Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
So Davis was Co?
Man, hold on.
No, but seriously, for true. They had to do justice. So it's now called Christie, Ingram, Davis. And Co.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever the Co is, this is the next Prime Minister. Anyway, forget all of that. One son of Cat Island that we can all agree on is Sidney Poitier.
Oh, yeah, sir. Sidney Poitier. And I'll give you that, my brother. And tonight, we honor his life journey in story and in song.
Yeah, you know, one thing I appreciate about Sir Sidney was that he was proud of his Bahamian heritage.
Now, brother, you know you ain't going to tell me much about that. You see the colors I wear and my bow tie?
Oh, get from around here.
Few things more important to me than being Bahamian. Ladies and gentlemen, from Dumfries, Cat Island, the legend, Phil Stutz.
Comes up with a burning glow, shines down on paradise below. I'm talking about the Bahamas, you know, a beautiful archipelago. Now go, brag about we beauty. Tell them we friendly, oh, tell them we proud of we country. Tell them they could come see. Let's say I'm proud to be a Bahamian. I'm proud to be a Bahamian. I'm proud to be a Bahamian. God gave this land to me. Upward together, boasting our rich culture, inspiring our young and old. With perseverance, we could win gold. Then lift up your heads to the rising sun. Our heroes left us a race to run. Let's protect our sovereignty. Yes, together in harmony. And say I'm proud to be a Bahamian. Oh, I'm proud to be a Bahamian. Oh, I'm proud to be a Bahamian. God gave this land to me. We're small in structure. Let's keep marching on, giving thanks to our Maker. The Bahamas is our home. Sing, I'm proud. Oh, I'm proud. Oh, I'm proud. Oh. If you're proud, sing. If you're proud, sing. If you're proud, sing. Oh, God gave this land to me. If you're proud to be a Bahamian. Hey, I'm proud to be a Bahamian. God gave this land to me.
So, Dion, tell me, what is your favorite Sidney Poitier film? Let me hear this now.
All.
Man, hold on.
No, I'm serious. You know, as an actor, just to be honest, I always wanted to play Thackeray from To Sir With Love.
Ah, now that, my friend, was a movie.
Yes,
I mean, they were all good. Because Sidney didn't just deliver the words, you know. He gave us the commas, the semicolons, and the question marks with as much emphasis as the words themselves. I mean, we met him in the pauses as well as in the speeches.
Boy, that's true. Go ahead.
Now, if you like the character Thackeray so much, why not consider doing a character analysis on him? I mean, you never know.
Oh, listen, not only did I study Thackeray, the character, but I studied Sidney, the man.
Now, see, you trying to sound a little deep, and that's worse than being shallow. Now, tell me, what you learned about Sidney, the man, it may help you to understand why he was so deliberate as a performer.
Well, for starters, you know, when Sidney was born on Kent Island.
Hold on there, my brother. Hold on. First of all, how you could say you do character study on the man and you don't even know the man wasn't born in Kent Island?
Listen, we just agreed that Sidney was the son of Kent Island, right?
Yes.
Right.
In the sense that he was his navel string was buried there.
Right.
Now, his parents may have been from Kent Island, was born in Kent Island. He grew up in Kent Island. But Sidney was born in Miami.
Miami? Wait a minute now. We talking about 1927.
Yeah.
See, now, nowadays, young people, they go off to the States to have their children, you know, because of medical reasons or for the sake of opportunity. But what you're trying to convince me is that way back then, Sir Sidney's parents opted to have him in Miami?
Opted? Who's saying anything about opting? Huh? Listen, Reginald and Evelyn Poitier went to Miami while Miss Evelyn was pregnant.
Okay.
Now, Sidney, he opted to come early. So, she had him right there.
So what they were saying in Miami?
Well, you really do your research, eh? Listen, Reginald and Evelyn were tomato farmers, and they used to travel to Miami to sell their crops. Huh? Now, they say Reginald was like a tomato whisperer because he knew everything there was to know about growing that perfect tomato.
Tomato farmer, eh?
Yes, you still got some more digging to do.
Tomato, touch me this, touch me that, touch me everything I got, touch me, come on, me apple too. can't do. All you do is feel up, ain't you tired of the feel up, all you do is squeeze up, and then you're tired of the squeeze up, please listen, don't touch me the better, please don't touch me the better, touch me on the pumpkin the better, goodness sake, don't touch my tomato. If you must really have your way, double the price you got to pay. All you do is feel up, and you're tired of the feel up. All you do is squeeze up, and then you're tired of the squeeze up. Please listen, don't touch me no better. Please don't touch me no better. Touch me on the pumpkin the better. Goodness sake, don't touch me to better. Yeah. Your mind just what is what? All you do is squeeze up, and you're tired of a freezer. All you do is feel up, and then you're tired and squeeze up. Please listen, don't touch me no better. Don't you touch me no better. Touch me on my pumpkin potato. For goodness sake, don't touch me tomato.
Boy, listen. Alia Connie, she looked like the perfect tomato in that red. You see her?
You know, when you really think, about where Sidney began, you have to ask yourself, how did he become who he became against such real life experiences? I mean, he traveled in more ways than one, quite a distance.
Yes. Deliberate resilience. He was the youngest of 7 children.
Yeah.
And though Cat Island was rich in culture and history, they were not rich people.
So what you're saying is what he lived was both rich and rough at the same time.
A place can be that.
So can a man.
He spent his formative years on Cat Island. And many talks about being from the Bahamas. That is the island that he called home.
Yeah, and many years after that, his daughter Pam, she come back home to Cat Island, and boy, it's just like she ain't never lived there.
And listen, I don't blame her, Cat Island is his own metaphor, man.
Yeah.
Huh? And in the times where so many people fake it to make it, there's something about the honest sounds of a good rake and scrape band. The song?
Oh, you ain't lying. Let's go ahead and
yeah.
To Cat Island, join one way and scrape on. I go to Cat Island, oh Cat Island, join one way and scrape on. Say Cat Island man is a little piece of sweet man, oh my baby, oh. Cat Island man is a little piece of sweet man, oh my baby, oh. And Cat Island woman give you plenty good loving. Oh, my darling, oh, Cat Island woman give you plenty good loving. Oh, my baby, oh, I say going to Cat Island, oh, Cat Island, join one rake and scrape on. We going to Cat Island, oh, Cat Island, join one rake and scrape on. They say the taller the tree, the sweeter the berry, up in the berry. Come on, y'all. The taller the tree, the sweeter the berry, up in the berry tree. I wanna taste that sweet, sweet berry, up in the berry tree, yeah. I wanna pick me some sweet berry, up in the berry. We gonna get our darling. Going to Cat Island, oh, Cat Island. Join one Reagan scraper. Going to Cat Island, oh, Cat Island. Join one Reagan scraper. Look the ball one time. Look the ball two times. Look the ball three times. Round the corner. Look the ball four times. Let's go. Oh lo 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 la 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 la. Oh lo 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 le. Oh lo 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 la 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 la. Oh lo 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 le. Oh lo 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 la 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 la. Oh lo 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 le. Oh lo 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 la 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 la. Oh lo 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 le. Thank you.
Relocate from Cat Island to Nassau.
Yes. And just when they thought Nassau was the solution, Nassau became the problem.
Now, what you talking about?
What do you mean?
Oh, you mean like Nassau solved some of their money problems, but then young Sydney could pick and choose opportunities to get himself in trouble.
Yes, but nothing major. But pig just grow hog.
You're lying.
So, tell me, what do you do when what you thought was a solution becomes a problem?
You look for another solution.
You know, Miss Evelyn had to partner with the prophecy over Sydney life, you know.
Partner with the prophecy?
Yeah, man. Listen, when Sydney was a newborn, he was very sick. And so Miss Evelyn needed some answers. So she went in search of somebody who could stand here in the present and see into the future.
Must be fortune telling.
Man, you can call him what you want to call him, brother. All I know is that lady said that Sydney would lead a great life someday.
Ah, so when that great life wasn't happening here, then she going looking elsewhere.
Miami, to be exact. Oh. And his older brother was already living there, so back to Miami, Sydney went.
Hi! Let's go now. Hey, y'all. Hey, now. Come on. Let me hear them horns. Come on.
I just got my target line.
Got a letter from Miami. In the letter was $1. I took $1 to buy some powder. Put the powder on my body. Keep on loving me, never stop. When I love and drop, pick me up. Shake that dilly drop. When I dilly drop, pick it up. Got a letter from Miami. In the letter was $1. Took $1 to buy some candy. Gave the candy to my baby. Keep on loving me. When I love and drop it. Shake that dilly tree. When I dilly drop, pick it. Materin.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all ain't hear me calling you.
Yes, ma'am.
But why you ain't come?
I feel like coming.
But why you ain't come?
I feel like coming.
I can send the cat for you.
I don't care.
I can send the dog at you.
I don't care.
Who learn you them manners? I say, who learn you them manners? Let's go. Got a letter from Miami, and in the letter was $1. I took $1 to buy me some candy. Gave the candy to my baby. Keep on loving me. When I love and drop it, shake out till the tree. When I till it drop it, got a letter from Miami. In the letter was $1. I took $1, buy some powder, put the powder on my body. Keep on loving me. When I love and drop it, shake out till the tree. When I till it drop, pick it up.
So moving to Miami was another example of a solution looking for a problem. You know, Miami was supposed to be better.
Yeah.
But boy, it had troubles on a whole different scale.
You know something? To be young, black, poor, and foreign in Miami in those days, listen, the early 1940s had its share of racial discrimination.
Yeah.
I mean, and Sidney didn't know what kind of world he had entered into. Now, he might have been poor, but that brother, he was sure-footed.
Well, you know, well, it really wasn't no place for no self-assured black man, not in those times, in that place.
You know, man, Sidney had to run for his life, you know. So he jumped on a train and gone to New York.
Well, you know, I was read. So I hear when he reached New York, his first job was a dishwasher. You know, and he got the notion to become an actor. And, you know, when they first rejected him...
No. More like ejected him from the theater because he couldn't talk good.
You mean he couldn't speak well?
That too.
Anyhow, he enlisted the help of a Jewish waiter. You know, and they began working, and boy, Sidney began speaking better and speaking weller. He began to talk good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when he could talk so good, he got a job as a janitor in a New York theater.
Now, do you see the intentionality and action there?
Yeah.
I mean, thousands of places needed cleaning in New York, and he decided to go clean a theater.
That's right. So, you know, he dropped down that broom and picked up that script, and the rest, as they say, is...
Wanted to.
Come on, put your hands together. Baby, oh, baby, what you owe me? Baby, oh, baby, what you owe me? Baby, for my blood and water. Oh, baby. Baby, for my son and daughter. Oh, baby. Baby, for my blood and water. Oh, baby. Baby, for my son and daughter. Oh, baby. Come to collect, come to collect. Come to collect everything that you owe me. Come to collect everything that you owe me. Come to collect, come to collect, come to collect everything that you owe me. Baby, oh, baby, what you owe me? I say, pay me, oh, baby, what you owe me? I say, pay me for my brothers and my sisters. Oh, baby, pay me for my brothers and my sisters. Oh, baby, pay me for the blood. Oh, pay me, pay me, pay me for the spirit that you. Oh, baby, I said, pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me. Oh, baby, I said, pay me. Oh, baby, I said, pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me. Oh, baby, you better pay me. Oh, baby, yeah. Come back. Come on. Come to collect everything that you owe me. Come to collect, come to collect, come to collect everything that you owe me. Come to collect, come to collect, come to collect everything that you owe me. Come to collect, come to collect.
Sometimes it's like I can see the future stretched out in front of me. The future, Mama, just stretched out at the edge of my days, hanging over me at the edge of my days, just waiting for me. Just a big, looming, blank space, full of nothing, just waiting for me. But it don't have to be.
You know, I like that monologue. Not necessarily the way you do it, but the monologue itself. You see, Walter Younger wants to be true to his role to wife and mother and as son and husband. But he couldn't shake this unshakable allegiance to be true to himself and his dream.
Why not? That sound like every man.
You know, in 1949, Sidney landed that first role on stage. And in 1950, he married Juanita Hardy.
Sidney.
married. Come here, let me tell you, gal. Sidney married. He married Juanita, Juanita Hardy. Come here, let me tell you, gal. Sidney married.
So he was a rising theater star and a man with a growing family. I mean, multiple roles clamoring to be played out. You know, he and Juanita had 4 daughters.
Yeah, Beverly, Pamela, Sherry, and Gina.
Now, you're showing off now. You're showing off.
That's my family, man.
I see that.
I gotta know them.
You call them family. They calling you family?
We from Kent Island.
All right.
Everybody's family.
Anyhow, that was a whole lot of beautiful responsibility under one roof.
Sidney married, Sidney married. Come here, let me tell you, gal. Sidney married. He married Juanita, Juanita Hardy. Come here, let me tell you, gal. Sidney married.
So Sir Sidney began on stage. But once he broke out into film, it was only up from there.
You know, another Bahamian who has made his mark, I mean, this time, in music. Legendary. Ladies and gentlemen, he's here with us tonight. Put your hands together for King Elson. But your daddy's gonna make a transaction, a business transaction that's going to change our lives. That's how come when you're about 17 years old, I'll come home and I'll be pretty tired. You know what I mean? I mean, after days of conferences and secretaries getting things wrong the way they do, because life of an executive is hell, man. And I'll pull the car up on the driveway, just a plain black Chrysler, I think, with white walls. No, black tires, more elegant. You know, rich people don't have to be so flashy. Though, I'll have to get something a little bit more sportier while shopping for Ruth. You know, maybe a Cadillac convertible for her to do her shopping in. You know, I'll come up those steps and the gardener will be hedging away and he'll say, "Good evening, Mr. Young," and I'll say, "Hello there, Jefferson. How are you this evening?" And I'll walk inside and Ruth will come down those stairs and we'll meet each other and she'll kiss me and grab me by the arms and take me upstairs to see you sitting down there in your room with all the catalogs of all the great schools of America around you. All the great schools in the world. And I'll say, "All right then, son, this is your 17th birthday. What it is that you want. Where do you want to go to school?" And you'll go. "Just tell me what it is that you want to be, and you will be it." Yes, sir. You just name it, son, and I'll hand you the world. Ladies and gentlemen, King Erson. You see that monologue he had me with?
Yeah, you see that? You know, that comes from A Raisin in the Sun.
All right.
1961. And 3 years later, in 1964, Sir Sidney became the first man of African descent to win an Oscar for Best Actor in his role in the movie Lilies of the Field.
$1964? Wow, that was a serious year.
Now, if you don't know what you're talking about, brother, don't go embarrass yourself in front of all these people.
What you mean if I know what I'm talking about? In 1964, Sir Sidney won an Oscar.
Right.
The Bahamas was granted self-governance, and you can't forget Sir Dewitt Knowles and Cecil Cook. They got us our first Olympic medal in sailing. Yeah. You see, I know what I'm talking about.
You might know there's something.
Yeah, I know there's something. That year, the Bahamas was in charge. Sir Sidney was in charge. Yeah.
He was in charge of everything except that convent in Lilies of the Field. Forget self-governance, brother. Them nuns was the boss of him.
On fire, Lord, he gon' send it down to Elijah. He done set the altar on fire. Didn't he send, or didn't he send? On fire, no, he gon' send, Lord, didn't he send? Well, Elijah was a great man of God. I heard that Elijah was wandering about in a land with no food, no water to drink. I heard, great God, he had mighty strength. God miracle food from the birds, water from the brooks. So I heard he went strutting down to the Israelites just to tell them how long the Bible would stand. God said he would send down fire. Yes, he gon' send it down to Elijah. Lord, he done set the altar on fire. Didn't he send, Lord, didn't he send? God said he would send down fire. Oh, yes, he would send it down to Elijah. He done. How could a man be so sure? Elijah said, stop now, let me show you. The man of God, he ought to know. Just heard from the master and I got a request to build an altar and have a contest. So they built the altar of many stones. The mighty men began to moan and they cried, Baal, send the fire. Oh, Baal, send the fire. Oh, Baal. Send the fire, would you send down fire from the sky? Oh, Baal. Send the fire, oh, Baal. Call him a little louder. Oh, Baal. Little Baal sleeping down in eternity to rise no more. But from morning till evening they did cry, trying to bring down fire from the sky. Well, Elijah said it is now my time. I know God Almighty wouldn't let me down. Then Elijah called on the bleeding lamb, the rose of Sharon, the God on high. Then lightning dropped down from the sky, shook the altar with a burning fire. The people who stood there heard him cry. God said he would send down fire. Send it down to Elijah. He done set the altar on fire. Didn't he send, or didn't he send?
You know, Dion, a man's life is like a piece of art.
You mean like we each get a blank canvas?
I don't know about blank. I think we all get a canvas that our parents and others begin to paint on, and we just decide how it ends up. But I was thinking more in terms of broad strokes and nuance. You know, many people know the broad strokes of Sir Sidney's acting career, but not the less talked about involvement in social justice?
Well, you know, because I'm well read, I understand how he really supported the civil rights movement in America. And, you know, for me, that's a full circle moment. Because, you know, he was ran out of Miami for his life. He ran out of Miami for his life. And then he got to a point in his life that he can truly make a difference so that other young black boys didn't have to run so far, so fast.
We have come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we have come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note, insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check. A check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we have come to cash this check. A check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to open the doors of opportunity to all God's children. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksand of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood.
Lift every voice and sing. Lift every voice and sing till heaven ring. Bring the harmonies of bliss. Lift every voice and sing. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Lift every voice and sing our song. Voice and sing our song. Sing our song. Lift every voice and sing our song. We sing a rising sun. Oh, when the day begun, let us march on. Let us march on till victory.
So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and every molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. When we let freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to hold hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
You don't know just how our people go. We have to let it be known that while Sir Sidney was contributing across the waters, that he was also contributing home too.
You know, he maintained ties with the Bahamas. And he made it possible for many students to get a sound education.
Yeah.
You know, and he was also quite involved in the fight for majority rule.
Oh, definitely.
In fact, in 1967, the year we achieved majority rule, that was a seminal year for him. I mean, not one, not two, but 3 successful movies. To Serve It Loud, In the Heat of the Night, and Guess Who's Coming for Dinner?
Yes, sir.
Now, your head ain't big for nothing. But in some ways, our country and Sir Sidney was running neck and neck, making history and calling it a good time.
Let me tell you something. I don't owe you...
If you, brother, can do that monologue, you gotta dig deep, man. You gotta do it with depth. You hear how that young doctor talk to his daddy? Now, you think Sidney Poitier gonna talk to Reginald Poitier like that?
My Lord, he didn't have to do those things in real life. That's exactly why he took full advantage of the stage and the screen.
Dion, if you can do that monologue, I need you to take full advantage of this stage and these screens, okay? I need the tension between father and son. I need the emotion, the highs, the lows. You gotta bring it, man, bring it.
If you carried that bag 1,000,000 miles, you did what you're supposed to do. because you brought me into this world. And you owed me everything you could ever do for me, as I will owe my son if I ever have another. But you don't own me. You and your whole lousy generation believes that the way that was for you is the way that it ought to be. And not until your whole generation has lain down and died with the weight of you be off our backs. You have to get off my back. Do you understand me? Dad. Dad. You're my father. I'm your son. But you look at yourself as a colored man. And I see myself as a man. Now I've got a decision to make. And I've got to make it alone. And I've got to make it in a hurry. So would you go out there and see after my mother?
He may be an actor after all, eh?
Look, we both are, all right?
No, I had no doubt about me.
It's safe to say that Sir Sidney inspired us both.
Yeah, man. And one of the most inspiring moments for me was, in his career, was that slap heard all around the world.
Well, you talking about in the heat of the night.
Oh, listen to me. Endicott thought he could get away with slapping this black man. Well, I was in the theater watching the movie that night. And when he slapped him, right, and he drove, and he slapped the...
No. Wait, this is a family show.
I ain't seen no children out there.
They out there. They may be watching it on TV.
Wait, this on TV?
Well, monkey teeth. You can't see this camera right here.
Oh, shucks. I should have asked for more money.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Anyhow, I can say...
You can't say that.
What about water?
Why don't you just tell me the story?
All right. Like I was saying.
Yeah.
Endicott figured he could get away with slapping this black man. And like I was saying, I was in the theater watching the movie.
Yeah.
And when he draw back and haul up and he slapped... When he slapped him back, man, listen. The people in the theater start cheering and making noise. I missed the next 3 minutes of the movie.
You see, it was things like that really inspired black people, along with his support for majority rule in the Bahamas, which got him his award from the Queen.
Yes, you mean the OBE?
No, sir.
The MBE?
No, sir.
Oh, knighthood. You mean he get the whole hog?
Market to get myself a hog. There I met my friends that me was on the job. Said, come on over, okay, come and take a seat. I got every kind of pork that you want to eat. I want a whole hog. Oh, I don't want that piece of meat. I want a whole hog. Oh, the pork it tastes so sweet. I want a whole hog. I don't want no head or leg. I want a whole hog. I got the butcher on his gas. I want the whole hog. I don't want no head, no leg. weekend. Went to Bennett's Harbor, there along the street. I saw the hawkman, he was selling meat. He said, I know what you come for, but I can't fill that order. You got to go to Arthurstown and look for Mr. Gorgon. I want the whole oh, I don't want that piece of meat. Oh, the pocket is so sweet. I want the whole I don't want no head or leg. I want the whole I got the butcher on the shelf. I want a whole oh, the pocket is so sweet. I want the whole I want the whole I got the butcher on them scared.
Cat Island Rake and Scrape Festival. That's the whole hole. Oh. They don't come with bully beef.
Oh, no, not just a piece of meat. Yes. You know, Sir Sidney, he was a night on and off the stage. And he continued to shape a career that truly inspired others.
Yes, but he wasn't just a career man. You know, the Bible says, he that finds a wife finds a good thing.
Yeah, well, Sir Sidney sure know how to find good things.
You sure ain't got no master class in that?
You know, just a few years after the Bahamas gained its independence, Sir Sidney married Joanna Shimkus, and they had two beautiful daughters, Anika and Sydney.
Sydney married, come here, let me tell you, God. Sydney married, he married Joanna, Shimkus. Come here, let me tell you, God. Sydney married.
Sir Sidney, he's been Sir for a long time. I mean, you know, when you really think about it, he really earned the reputation of being a distinguished gentleman.
Oh, for sure. And you see it throughout his whole life.
You know, in 2009, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama. That was the highest civilian honor in the United States.
You're really showing off now.
Listen, you have to understand that these are so many accomplishments that he accomplished across so many domains. In 1997, he became the Bahamas ambassador to Japan.
And right before that, in 1996, To Serve With Love 2 began. And it was a televised series in which he played Sir again.
That's exactly what I mean. Iconically Sir, on and off screen.
Oh, yeah.
He played the roles and lived a life very distinctive that garnered respect and something deeper.
Love.
Those who go tales of biting nails and telling tales are gone. But in my mind, I know they will still live on and on. But how do you thank someone who has taken you from crayons to perfume? It isn't easy, but I'll try. I'll try. If you wanted the sky, I would ride across the sky in letters that would soar 1,000 feet high to serve with love. closing books and long last looks must stand. But as I leave, I know that I am leaving my best friend, a friend who taught me right from wrong and weak from strong. There's a lot to learn. What can I give you in return? If you wanted to move now and try to make a start, but I would rather you let me give my heart to serve with love.
That was beautiful, huh? Beautiful. You know, Dion, I'll tell you one thing. It is so important to give people their flowers whilst they are alive, huh? It is something we have to keep doing and do more of it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, flowers can come in so many different forms, like the renaming of the Western PI Bridge after Sir Sidney.
Yes. You see, when a man or woman means something to a country, you know, it's important for, say, a country to let them know whilst they're alive.
Yes, yeah, definitely. You know, and it's why it was so fitting for us to celebrate him for his 90th birthday. You know, it's the right kind of thing to do. And look, 5 years later, I mean, you know, not so quite 5 years later,
he left us.
Yes.
Such is the case for not waiting, huh?
That's correct. That's correct.
Boy, you know, I remember during his 90th thinking to myself, what a legacy. You know, during that whole ceremony, I sat there thinking, you know, this man has left or set such a standard for us, for the world. It's the kind of standard that makes you want to do more, to be better, to aim higher.
And I believe that's the purpose of a life well lived.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I've been running ever since I made a start. Oh, my burden got heavy, but Jesus made it lighter. His love keep bubbling over in my heart, in my heart. Well, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I've been running ever since I made a start, Oh, my burden got heavy, but Jesus made it lighter. His love keep bubbling over in my heart, in my heart. Well, I heard a voice of Jesus say, come on to me and rest. Oh yes, lie down, lie weary. Oh one, lie down, thy head upon my breast. Oh yes, well, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I've been running ever since I made a start. Well, my burden got heavy, but Jesus made it lighter. His love keep bubbling over in my heart, in my heart. Then I came to Jesus just as I was weary and worn and sad. Oh yes, I found in him a resting place, and he has made me glad. Oh yes, well, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I've been running ever since I made a start. My burden got heavy, but Jesus made it lighter.
His love keep bubbling over in my heart, in my heart.
On Thursday, January 6, 2022, the world lost a gift, the grace, the man who was Sir Sidney Poitier.
Sydney, a name meaning wide meadow. Poitier, a name meaning vessel.
After pouring out substance into so many lives and showing the next generation what it means to live a fruitful life, Sir Sidney left.
And left us a legacy to live on.
Sir Sidney is credited with saying, living consciously involves being in the moment. It involves being genuine, listening and responding honestly and openly. It involves being in the moment.
And that there is the meaning of fine acting and fine living. Being in the moment. No, even though his films were scripted, he delivered the lines as if he had just thought of them, as if he was only responding to what he had been given.
Well, then you're right. I really got some more digging to do.
We all do.
The only way to perform and live is to be in the moment, to respond the best way you can to the stimuli, the people, the stuff coming at you, and the happenings inside you.
And that right there, Dion, that right there to me is the true measure of a man. His ability to live in the moment. Not to use the past as a weapon against your enemy or the future to escape what is being required of him now.
We salute you, Sir Sidney Poitier. We miss you and we honor you. An actor par excellence.
An extraordinary Bahamian.
A phenomenal man.
May we continue to honor all that you were,
all that you have given,
and all that you continue to stand for in the strength of your legacy. All in agreement? Let the people say.
Amen. Boy, I see what you did there. Just let it be so.
Right.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to faith. Oh, and grace, my fears really. me believe.
When we been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sing God's praise. That when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Come on, put your hands together. Put your hands together. Come on. Come on, stand up on your feet and sing with us. Here we go, everybody. Woo! Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Say amen.
What a wonderful tribute, eh?
Definitely a great job from the One Family Junkanoo Group, but so much more. We'll be back after this short break.
Network.
This used to be the waiting terminal for the airport. It's now gone.
We have the most experienced team covering hurricane.
But when Hurricane Irma makes landfall here in New Providence in a few hours,
we cover the entire Bahamas before, during, and after the storm. One network covers every island rocking. We are the best because we have the best. For hurricane coverage, there's only one network. The Settlers Network.
It was a cultural shock going back into community support and here persons coming into the community support center and saying, yes, I am employed, but I'm sleeping in my car. And I'm not talking about one or two persons. I'm talking about quite a bit of persons coming in to us and saying that.
Being homeless is very, very difficult. It's so much to it.
Things are not important. What is important is the people.
They're not friendly to homeless people.
We're just checking on you, making sure that you're doing all right.
All right.
Because it's hard out here. It's hard out here.
It's not only feeding them and giving them clothes or whatever it is. It's also teaching them how to live by godly principles.
How we treat the poor and the homeless is an indication of how we really and truly feel toward God.
This is where I live. This is where I call home, at least for now.
By giving unconditionally, not expecting anything in return, I thought was a wonderful way of showing this love, and I believe that it is love that truly draws people, and so I thought we could cover a lot more people by feeding. Volunteers, you know, they have truly been sold.
My passion is to help, and I thank God for what I can do through the help of Bahamas Feeding Network.
This is where it happens. Those moments that impact our lives. Giving you the information that you need this hurricane season. Wherever there is news, we're there.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bonami.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rajesh Pahawa.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jazreel Thompson.
Infectious diseases physician.
I'm radiologist at Doctors Hospital.
An anesthesiologist here at Doctors Hospital.
And I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
I'm fully vaccinated against COVID.
I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
One network.
This used to be the waiting terminal for the airport. It's now gone.
We have the most experienced team covering hurricane.
But when Hurricane Irma makes landfall here in New Providence in a few hours,
we cover the entire Bahamas before, during, and after the storm. One network covers every island rocking. We are the best because we have the best. For hurricane coverage, there's only one network. The Settlers Network.
It was a cultural shock going back into community support and hear persons coming into the community support center and saying, yes, I am employed, but I'm sleeping in my car. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 persons. I'm talking about quite a bit of persons coming in to us and saying that.
Being homeless is very, very difficult. It's so much to it.
Things are not important. What is important is the people.
They're not friendly to homeless people.
We're just checking on you, making sure that you're doing all right. All right. Because it's hard out here. It's hard out here.
It's not only feeding them and giving them clothes or whatever it is. It's also teaching them how to live by godly principles.
How we treat the poor and the homeless is an indication of how we really and truly feel toward God.
This is where I live. This is where I call home. At least for now.
Well, you've just witnessed 2 hours of outstanding Bahamian culture, all in tribute to Sir Sidney Poitier. With me now, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Fred Mitchell. Well, you must be really proud of what we saw tonight.
Yeah, I am. And, you know, as I said, I find this quite personally moving myself. It's just, but a very good show, and congratulations to Leslie Miller, Bryce, and to Fred Ferguson, Adrian Archer, Phil Burrows. And I remember all the people who, of course, caused us to be here, like Winston Saunders and Clement Bethel. You know, they're way in the background. But one of the things about these things is that we who are left behind, you know, we often say at these ceremonies that we'll remember people forever. It's very difficult to remember people who've gone on. And so you have to find a way to actually concentrate your mind on memorializing people, and to also understand that we have a responsibility to protect their reputations. They're no longer here to be able to fight for their reputations. And I'm happy he allowed me to interact with his life. And now I see it as part of my responsibility as we build a larger Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and the ethos, as Rex Nettleford used to say, of that country. To ensure the reputations of those who have contributed to building the country, those reputations are protected and built upon. So I'm happy it went well tonight.
Wonderful. And we're going to go to my colleague right now, Jimenita Swain, who is with High Commissioner Leslie Bryce, who coordinated in part a lot of this. Jimenita?
Hi, Julian. Yes, I am here with Her Excellency, Mrs. Leslie Miller Bryce. How would you describe tonight's activities?
It was truly overwhelming and heartfelt. What a night of love for our dear Sir Sidney. What a night of talent displayed by our amazing Bahamian talent. What a night of just showing our Bahamian pride and love for all that Sir Sidney has done. It was truly an amazing night, a wonderful experience. It was heartfelt. You felt the crowd truly engaged. All of the talent was phenomenal. We have it all here in the Bahamas, and we have so much to be proud for.
So a wonderful, wonderful night. There you hear Julian. Her Excellency is proud of the night's activities. So back to you.
Indeed, a wonderful night, Jimenita. And I must remind you that this is the first of 2 events in honor of Sir Sidney. The second one will be a memorial service at St. Francis Xavier Cathedral. And we will be broadcasting that live as well, starting at 1:30. So we invite you to tune in for that. Until then, on behalf of the entire ZMS team, good night.